Have you struggled with building a sustainable meditation practice? Or with integrating your meditation practice into your day-to-day life? Well, if you did experience difficulties with these two aspects, then I hope this video can be helpful to you. In the following, I want to suggest to you a different way of approaching meditation practice, which will, on one hand, be more effective, effortless, sustainable, but also be more integrated in your day-to-day life. Meditation will no longer be divorced from your regular life, so to say. Instead, meditation will then be something that is just as natural while you're going about your day as it is natural while you are sitting on your cushion or on your chair and actually meditating. It is not my aim here, of course, to criticize anyone's meditation practice. Whatever kind of practice you participate in, if you enjoy it, if you find it useful, it benefits you, that's great. By all means, keep going. I'm merely speaking from my own experiences and what I have found useful. Generally speaking, when we start a meditation practice, there's always something sort of artificial about it. We sit down, we create unnaturally calm circumstances, we follow very slow instructions, which we would never normally do. But nevertheless, doing this has great benefits, both for the body-mind on a psychological and even social level, but there's also the possibility of engaging in this practice to realizing something deep and true about yourself. The sort of meditation practice that I'm interested in doesn't just have the goal of making you feel better as a person. What I'm really interested in is discovering something essential about yourself. My meditation practice always has the goal of recognizing that which I already am essentially, of exploring my own real being, of seeing its qualities, so to say, seeing what it's like directly to be this, to live it. So this is also the second aspect of my meditation practice. Not just recognizing this ultimate reality about what I really am, but also exploring how this reality affects my day-to-day life in the body-mind world. Therefore, meditation also has this aspect of aiding you in embodying your deepest understanding, in not just recognizing your true nature, but also living it, so to say. I personally love teachings of non-duality because they get straight to the point. The non-dual pathway doesn't require you to overcome challenges, to purify yourself, to get better and better, and then one day become something that you are not. Instead, on this pathway, you're recognizing something that is already true about yourself. One of the great benefits of taking this approach is that you don't have to force anything. It is much more effortless in a sense, because of course you don't need to struggle to be that which you already are. With this effortlessness comes the great advantage that your practice is now much more sustainable. Your cognitive functioning, maintaining attention, of course, will get tired eventually. But this is not a concentration practice. As I said, you're just recognizing something that you already are. And this requires no effort. On the contrary, it requires the dropping of an effort. Before I explore what a meditation practice on this non-dual pathway looks like broadly, I first want to say something general about meditation. We have to realize that meditation shouldn't become a crutch to us. We shouldn't become fixated and addicted to meditation in of itself. Meditation is only a tool that is supposed to point you to your true nature and furthermore help you in embodying your true nature. It is therefore an aid in realizing something absolute and perfect about yourself, but also a tool in sort of a process of embodying. But what this makes clear is that the meditation in itself is not the important thing. What it points to is important. How it affects the life of the body-mind is important. So don't make your meditation a burden. Instead, make it something that you enjoy. Make it something that you want to do because you want to explore what you are. Bring this energy of genuine curiosity and love instead. Let these more so be your guiding principles. Just have an interest in what you are in reality and what the implications of this realization are. We can separate a meditation practice that is in line with the non-dual understanding in three broad parts. I'm by no means suggesting that the separation is real in any sense. And of course, your practice doesn't have to follow these exact instructions. But if you're starting out it can be useful to have this sort of structure in mind. Remember, however, that the structure is not important. If it's no longer useful to you, drop it. The analogy of a boat and a lake is often used in this context. You use the boat to cross the lake, but once you're on the other side, you don't then carry the boat on your back. No, the boat has had its use. Now you can just drop it and leave it and be on your way. So look at the structure I'm about to suggest in the same way. So the first part of meditation on a non-dual pathway is what I call the dropping of fixation. This is where the pointing out instruction comes into play. A non-duality pointing out instruction, in its essence, is supposed to make you drop a fixation which you previously had and subsequently allows true nature to realize itself. It generally has the goal of allowing us to drop this fixation. This is essential because the belief of being a separate self is based on this fixation. This fixation, which can be both subtle or sometimes very strong, is sort of the core foundation on which the illusion of being a separate self is built on. Built on these fixations can be many beliefs, thoughts and emotions which then reinforce this false belief of being a separate self. But nevertheless, the fixation in of itself is at the bottom of it. So therefore it's important to understand that the pointing out instruction, which is an essential part of any non-duality meditation practice, allows us to drop this fixation. I really like the word drop in this context, because it makes clear that it's not a process. You're not slowly getting there, but it is instantaneous. Imagine, for example, you have a rock in your hand. Dropping it only requires you to release the tension in your hand, the fixation of it, so to say. And from then on, you don't need to make any more effort. The stone drops all by itself. And the same should apply to our meditation practice. It should be effortless. It is not making an effort or tensing up in any way. On the contrary, you are dropping the previous fixation, like a stone, out of your hand. The second part of this meditation practice is actually not separate from the first part. As I said, I'm only separating these parts because it can make the practice a little bit more clear, give you a sort of scaffolding. So the second part is the recognition of your true nature. As this fixation is dropped, we are naturally in the recognition of our own being. When you drop the fixation that created the belief of being a separate self, you don't then have to try to also recognize your true nature. No, you recognize yourself by simply being itself. Just by naturally being yourself, it's obvious what you already are. The aspects, so to say, of your true nature shine all on their own. Let me use an analogy here. A fire doesn't have to try extra hard to illuminate both the outside world and itself. No, its very essence is illumination. Its very essence is to shine. It illuminates itself. And so too our true nature. Just by being this absolute, which we already are, we also recognize ourselves. Recognition and being, therefore, are not two separate things. They are not different from each other. You recognize yourself by being yourself. And on to the last part of this meditation practice. This last part, just like the previous two, is not actually separate from the others. And this last part, interestingly, is dropping and completely forgetting about the previous two parts. What you have to understand is that this style of meditation practice, paradoxically, actually is a non-practice. It seems to be addressed towards a body-mind, but it is actually addressed to your true nature. Only your true nature in itself has the power to recognize itself. If, however, there is this fixation present, and it seems like you are operating from being a body-mind, it can be useful to engage in this seeming practice of dropping your fixation. Just realize that you already are that which you are seemingly seeking for. You don't become it, you already are it. This is why this third part of the meditation practice is actually dropping the dropping and dropping the recognition. Because once you have dropped the fixation and you have realized your true being, nothing is required. You are in the natural state. There's nothing to be maintained. On the contrary, trying to maintain something would only get you further away from being what you already are. Because if you try to maintain something, the implicit assumption is that you as a separate being need to hold on to some kind of state. But no, you already are your true nature, and only this. Therefore, view this whole meditation practice not as something the separate self or the body-mind does. It is true nature exploring and recognizing itself. This is a completely different starting assumption. So if it seems to you like you are a separate self engaging in this practice, that's fine. Let it seem that way. Engage in this practice, but then drop it again. See that you are naturally established where you're already supposed to be. So having this conceptual framework of these three separate parts might be useful to you. But eventually, all of these three parts collapse and dissolve. Eventually, there is no longer this formulaic approach of having to do a practice. In the end, it is this realization, this direct realization in the now, which establishes itself. It naturally becomes more and more obvious. It automatically deepens in a sense. The more you see that you don't have to become anything, but that you already are this, the more the effort naturally stops. The struggling and trying, the practice, disappear organically. You therefore don't have to struggle to maintain a meditation practice. Not at all. It would be more correct to say that your true nature floods the body-mind. That which is already true is just naturally becoming more and more clear. If this obviousness doesn't seem to be clear to you, that's fine. Use this meditation practice in the style I just suggested, dropping the fixation, recognizing your true nature, and then dropping the practice altogether. Use this approach. At first, you might sit down with it, close your eyes or leave them open however you like. But you will then find that this instantaneous recognition is not just something you can do in a quiet room. You can do it everywhere and always. Since this dropping of your fixation is not an effort, it is just as possible to do it while you're driving your car, while you're brushing your teeth, while you're talking to someone. It's easily sustainable because in reality there is nothing to maintain. You only need to be in your natural state. And in time, this naturalness will become just as normal to you as the fixated state of being was previously. So recognize that being natural is all that is required, and understand that this naturalness is completely effortless. I hope you enjoyed this exploration of non-dual meditation. If you like my work and you want to support me, do check out the links in the description. And if you want to stay up to date with my latest videos, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you right here next time.